Discovering possibilities and potential with passion every day. This is a TPPN production. Welcome to the iPad Possibilities Podcast, episode number 97, iPad Minded Accessories. This podcast is sponsored by GadgetFreeway.com. Check out all of their amazing gadgets and accessories over at GadgetFreeway.com, including what will be featured today, the iPad pillow, the iPad case bag, and much more. So check it all out at GadgetFreeway.com, and I'd like to thank them once again for sponsoring and supporting this podcast. This is the Friday-Saturday show of the iPad Possibilities Podcast, and for today's episode, it's going to be all about a few different accessories that have really caught my eye as I've been using them. And I've got three of them today, and the basic focus of the show is accessories that took the iPad after it was released, and from that, they saw, these people that made these accessories saw what it makes the iPad unique. What are we going to do to make unique accessories for the iPad? Things that really enhance the iPad and make it a much better product. Make it something that we can use in different scenarios. Make it something that had the iPad in mind for it, rather than just a spec sheet and designing products from a spec sheet. We rather, after the iPad was released, took the iPad, we purchased it, we played around with it, we understood the iPad at that point, and from that, we designed a product designed around the iPad itself, rather than a spec sheet, rather than just numbers on a piece of paper, rather than just preconceived visuals and images from press releases. We saw the iPad as it was, and we designed products around it that made it that much better. So that's what today's episode is all about. It's about those accessory makers, the three accessories that I found so far that really emulate this fact to the full. So that's what today's episode is all about. And let's jump into the first product of today. The first accessory and case of the day that really emulates this iPad-minded accessory lineup here is from Mod IR, and it's from modircases.com, and they've been developing ever since the iPad was released and have had their hands on it, this system in which you have this case, and then you have other things that attach to it, that enhance this case, that allow the iPad to be used in different scenarios that would not have been allowed before because of its design. So that's what they've done. They've created this system of having a case with all these different add-ons, modular things. You know, it's called Mod IR Cases. They've sent me their starter pack, and their starter pack includes the case and cover, the quick stand, and the slim mount. Now, later this year, they'll be unveiling two new accessories, a universal swing arm and a shoulder strap. So they sent me this, and let me just talk a little bit about it and why this is such a special design, special phenomenon that I've seen here. First off, the case itself. For me to really want to use the accessories that go along with the case itself must be a good case that I would want to use on a daily basis. So that's criteria one. And they've succeeded in doing this. They've succeeded in creating a good case that I would feel comfortable using on a daily basis. That is something that, yeah, this is a good case and I want to use it on a daily basis. It feels good in the hand, feels quality, and all of those criteria that follow. So the case itself is made of two different materials. It's made of this firmer material for the back and the structure of the case itself. But at the same time, around the borders, the area that you're actually going to be manipulating to get the iPad in and out, it's a softer rubber material. And it's a good feeling material. It goes all the way, it kind of merges with the harder plastic. And it's a good material. It feels like the iPad is safe in there. And on the back is a hole cut out for the Apple symbol, so you can still see that, and I actually do appreciate that. I like seeing that Apple symbol for whatever reason. And then on the back of this case, it's got four different hooks or things that little bumps that jut out from the back of the case. And this is so all the accessories can plug into this case and enhance it in different ways. So that's the bare bones of the case itself. It gives you access to the dock connector, obviously, and then it also gives you access to the headphone jack. And it also gives you access. It opens up the mic so you can actually still use the mic. And it has, for the volume and the sleep-wake button, it's got little things that basically go over it that let you see that, hey, there's a button underneath that I can actually press it. So it covers up those buttons, but they're still usable. Now, the one more unusable, the mute button under iOS 4.2 or the rotation lock under 3.2 is accessible, but not something that you're going to be able to turn on or off really quickly. And I think as we're moving to this 4.2, this won't be a problem because that's now a mute button, and I don't know how many times I'm going to start using that button anymore. But it is accessible. It's a little bit harder, but that's not a big deal breaker for me. So I just want to point that one out. And then you have access to the full bezel. There's nothing of the bezel covered up. It's basically sort of like a bumper case in that regards, as you still have access to the full bezel. Does not take up any of the space there. Now, another cool thing that they've done is they give you a cover with this case. So this cover is designed to put your iPad in a situation where it's as durable as possible. It's not meant to be just taken off and on a daily basis, and I guess it could be, but it's really meant for travel. So they've got this cover that you put on, and that makes the iPad very durable. It's got the glass all protected and just snaps right on the front with the open spaces by the dock and up atop. So it's a very durable case, and with this cover, it's perfect for travel. And I think later this year, once they release that shoulder strap, it'll become even a better travel accessory. But travel is not what I see as this case's main feature. This case, for me, will quickly become my replacement for the in-case convertible book jacket as my in-home iPad case. So if you have more than one iPad or you have a case that you like to use at home, this is what I'm going to be using this one for, my in-home case. So it also gives you the starter pack, a quick stand. Now the quick stand is, let me pull it out here, is simply a piece of, metal that has two hooks that hooks into the back of this case that easily allow you to prop up the iPad either in the typing mode or a viewing of video mode where it's more vertical. So it hooks in really well, and it offers a much more stable atmosphere rather than the convertible book jacket, which is not as stable, has a bigger footprint than this. So the footprint on the in-case convertible book jacket, as many people have, is quite large. And with this one, there is no footprint. The iPad does not take up any more space because it's using a stand. It's really pretty cool, and I'm pretty impressed with the stand itself. So that's the stand, and I'm just impressed at how they came about this. They said, hey, let's make this case, but let's also make these things that hook into this case to enhance its functionality. So the last bit of functionality they've given me are these slim mounts. Now, these are mounts that, as I said, this is a at-home case that you can actually screw into your wall. So say you have a place at home where you simply want to have your iPad just hooked into the wall. Say it's next to your bed. Say it's by your home theater system or whatever. Whatever the scenario you can think of. Wherever you can think of putting an iPad wall mounted, this is what this is for. So they've got these wall mounts that you can hook it up either vertical or horizontal, and you can hook it in there, and now your iPad is very secure on the wall. So imagine the possibilities here. You could have a home theater system where your iPad is that that controller for everything, and it's mounted there. It's all seamless. You could have it as a photo album finally, where it's actually in a good place. It's a picture frame now. You could have it integrated into your kitchen to order food, I guess, in the future, where people deliver food to your house. It could be hooked in that way. It can be hooked in a wide variety of ways with this wall mounting, and the possibilities here are just quite endless. I'm not quite sure how I want to use these slim mounts as of yet, but I think in the future the slim mounts will be really, really cool. So the next two have not been released yet, and I don't have these yet, but the next one is the one that gets me most excited. This next one is pretty amazing, I think, that once we get our hands on it. I've talked to the guys over there, and they're going to be shipping this out later this year, possibly at the early 2011 at the latest here. So the next one is a universal swing arm. And I love this term universal because they're really packing in a lot of features into this one accessory. So what does it give you? It gives you a car mount. So this car mount hooks into headrests. So you have this headrest and you have kids in the back seat. How do I want to have them watch video on the iPad? They could hold it, obviously, but what if there's multiple kids and they're fighting over it? Let's instead use this Mod IR case and have this universal swing arm, which has this car mount. So it basically just hooks into the back seat of the car, so kids can now watch your videos while you're driving. The iPad now becomes a TV replacement, and that's a pretty phenomenal thing. So so that's the first part of this. The next one is my absolute favorite. It's the desk mount, and this is included in this universal swing arm is what they're doing here. So the desk mount here, it basically hooks into your desk. Instead of mounting or screwing something in, it has this little hook into your desk that goes over the table part and hooks in and just grabs on there. And what this becomes now with this desk mount is a monitor now. Your iPad becomes this monitor or computer that just swings up right alongside your regular computer or back away. You can swing it anywhere you want it, and it becomes literally this touchscreen tablet that's now sitting right next to your computer monitor. It could be placed anywhere that this swing can go to, and that's something exciting because I currently use the iPad by my desk. I have it sitting on top of some books on a stand. Now, what would be more incredible if I had this swing arm, and now I'm just swinging it, and it's sitting literally right next to my computer monitor. I could have Air Display running. I could be running all these different programs. I could be running a clock. I could be running OmniFocus right next to my main computer, my main Mac. And this swing arm thing I think it's pretty incredible what they're going to be able to do with this as far as the desk mounting options. This will be an accessory that we see in offices around the country. People just using these Mod IR desk mounts and having their iPads literally right next to their computer monitors as they're working. They're going to be using the iPad in a much different way because of this one part of this accessory. So that's something I'm very much looking forward to. When it ships out, I will certainly be getting one. And then the next part of this is this wall/under counter mount. So this one here is designed for, say you're in the kitchen and you're on the stovetop. Hey, I've got a recipe book. How do I want to access that? Well, you're going to be using this. You're going to be using the under counter mount, and it literally gives you your iPad access to from the stovetop now, from the kitchen, from areas that were not as accessible to have an iPad in. And it gives you the access to have that, to use it for a TV in the kitchen or something like that. It's a pretty cool add-on there. So that's the universal swing arm, and this was the one I was most excited to see my hands on and start testing, but unfortunately it's not out yet. They're still developing it and still getting it out to market. So the final one that they've announced so far is the shoulder strap. And this one is a no-brainer that you have a shoulder strap that hooks in with this Mod IR case. So those are the different ones they've announced so far. And quite honestly, I'm very impressed with this. I got a review unit, so full disclosure, as I always like to do, is I did get this free of charge, but I'm very impressed. I would tell you if I'm not impressed. And I did tell you the one little bug I had about it was that rotation lock. It's not as easy to use. But beyond that, this is one of the first cases I've really seen that took the iPad, what it was, and what it is, and adapted this case to give you more functionality, more uses of it, more places you can use it, and gives you all of these amazing features and really creates an ecosystem around this case. What I would love to see, what I would absolutely love to see, are other manufacturers that are allowed to build accessories for this, that have other ideas as far as what we can now use this case for. I'd love to see this become an open environment where we see hundreds of different add-ons for this Mod IR case, and other developers, other hardware developers can hook into this case and do their own thing with it. That we can see this in different industries, different vertical markets can start to take advantage of this this framework of accessories, this framework of ways to use the iPad. We can have different types of mounts. We can have more industrial types of mounts that are suited for different environments. And this is what I'm really excited to see. I would love to see some sort of way to have the iPad used in bed more. I'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show, but some sort of accessory for that, because the stand is not good for bed. So I'd love to see some more accessories being developed for this case. And the reason this episode is called iPad-minded accessories is because this first one especially, as well as the other two, are really geared toward, were designed from the ground up to have the iPad be the start, be the what we're designing this thing around. And we're going to be doing some really innovative things with the iPad because of its form factor, because of how it operates, and this Mod IR case that is now shipping, and it's $100 for the starter kit. You can buy them individually as well, but a great solution and a great... it's just pretty phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to when we'll see more competition in this field, when we'll see more of these types of things. Right now, it is very limited as far as the really cool cases that say buy me, because they're just that cool. So that's Mod IR case. Let's move on to the second accessory of the day. Next up is from Gadget Freeway. These next two are from Gadget Freeway. I've talked about them before, and I really do like to talk about these because they are unique. They are different. They are very iPad-minded accessories in a way that I'm surprised I haven't seen others like this before. I'm shocked that as I browse the web for different cases, different accessories, that I'm not seeing a good option there for iPad accessories that really consider the iPad, how you want to use it, and all of the elegance that is in there. So Mod IR was the first one, and the next were from Gadget Freeway. So it's the case bag, as I like to call it, and it's the first iPad bag that understands you want to use the iPad on the go, in the bag. So you don't want to take out the iPad every time you want to use it. That would cripple the manner in which you could use the iPad, because I've tried to do that before. I've got the water-filled, bag as well that I paid for. That was that's I didn't pay for as a birthday present, but that's a bag that I have, and it's a great bag. I don't get you wrong, it's a great bag. It's just like their other bags for laptops, and that's a thing that is both a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is you can't use it without taking it out of its bag, and that's really not a good thing unless you're just merely traveling and you want it out of the way all the time. But for me, I don't want my iPad out of the way all the time. I want to be using it on the go. I want to be using it on the road. I want to be using it when it's in its bag. And this I call the case bag because it is both a case and a bag, and I have not seen anything like this. And I was pretty shocked that no one else has done something similar to this. So some background here. Gadget Freeway is a sponsor of this podcast, and Tom, the guy who runs the Gadget Freeway, brought down the bag for me. And as I started to use it,
I became strangely attracted to this thing. It's a fantastic accessory, and every single time, it does not fail. I was down at the Apple Store today, and I was just, again, today, got comments. Where did you get this bag? Because it's so unique. It's so different. Apple employees, especially, are really curious because they have to hold the iPad every day. They actually don't put it in a case or anything, which is kind of surprising. They have to use the iPad on a daily basis. They have to juggle it around, hold it, and if it wasn't a bag, they'd have to take it in and out constantly. Now, this one, you don't have to do that because it gives you 2 modes of operation. So mode 1 is the way it comes, travel mode. It's where it's just shut down. You have the flap over. It's basically just describing the bag itself. Before we get into that, is it's a leather bag made with 100% genuine leather and all that good stuff. It's made in the USA. Handmade, all that good stuff, and it does feel really good. So it looks like a little satchel, just the same size as the iPad. So it's a little satchel there, and if you're just carrying around in that closed way, it does not really look like an iPad, which is a good thing because you don't want to getting stolen. It just looks like you have this little satchel with possibly a book inside or something like that. But when you turn it into the second mode of operation, this is the mode I call on the go. I want to use this. I want to be interacting with my iPad while it's still in its bag. So the second mode is you're able to basically Velcro the front top, the front casing, the part of the bag that goes over the screen. You're able to Velcro that to the back, and at the same time, you're able to use these little clips here to clip in the what do you call it? You're able to click in the shoulder strap to get out of the way, so you can actually use the shoulder strap. You can still use this shoulder strap, but the extra material towards the bottom is clipped out of the way. And basically, what you now have is the iPad in a bag, in a case, but its screen is exposed, but every other part of it is not. And you're able to have it still on your shoulder. You're able to turn it around and use it as need be. And what I do is, I've got a screen protector. I've got an anti-glare screen protector that I got from Gadget Freeway. And with that screen protector, I feel very safe just using my iPad out and about in this bag. And just, as I'm using it, I just turn it on and off as I need to. I just basically just flip it around and start using it, put it back, and don't worry about basically if it's the thing's covered or not. So why this is a unique accessory is this turns the iPad, this one accessory turns the iPad into a device that is as accessible to you as your iPhone. Because your iPhone, if you think about it, you can use it without thought. 1 second later, you're using it because it is a very accessible device. You just grab it out of your pocket, it's good to go. With the iPad, before this, I had to be either carrying it at all times in my hands, or I had to have a bag with the case inside. I had to open the bag, I had to take it out, and it was a big production. With this case, it's completely different. It's changed the game again. It's made the iPad as accessible as the iPhone or iPod Touch, whereas you can simply just flop it up, whip it up there and hit the home button and you're off and running. There is no worrying about it being safe or, in good protection or whatever, all those things. You just simply use it as the iPad was meant to be used. You simply use the iPad. And that is something that these other case manufacturers have yet to realize, that you want to be on the go. You want to have the accessibility of using the iPad on your shoulder whenever you're out and about. That is something that has not been fully realized yet by any other manufacturer, and that is something that I love about this iPad case bag. It's really remarkable. It's something that once you have the iPad, you realize, hey, I need a bag. I need a case that can fully utilize, that I can really take advantage of how the iPad was meant to be used. Because I've tried the water-filled bag, as I said before. It's really not a good experience bringing the bag along. A lot of the times, I'll just bring the case. If I'm going to be using that bag, I'd rather just bring the case because it is too much of a hassle to be pulling the iPad in and out of this case. Now, with this bag case from Gadget Freeway, I don't have to think about it. When I'm out on the go, I just throw it in this bag case and I use it. I just leave it in there and I use it. It's on my shoulder and I'm using it. It's the best way to use your iPad if you're traveling, if you're on the go. This is just truly revolutionary, truly something that have been impressed with. I've used it for several months now and I continue to use it because it's a good case. I think I've shared enough about the iPad case bag, but it is truly a remarkable product that I'm excited to be able to have and use because it works so well when you're on the road and wanting to use your iPad. So this is just another call out to people making accessories. Think about how people use their iPad. The iPad is meant to be used a lot. It's meant to be used on the road. It's meant to be used and accessible at all times. So when you're making your next accessory, those accessory makers out there listening to this, make it in a way that you can use it on your shoulder while you're out and about, as this bag case does. They've set the standard for how these iPad cases should be made, and I would love to see more and more of these case bags made by other manufacturers because this is the way it should be done, and I'm just glad to say Gadget Freeway is first, and they have done it the best so far. So I'm just loving this, and let's move on to the final accessory or gadget of the day. The final accessory I'm going to talk about for the iPad today is another one from Gadget Freeway. And once again, they are the sponsor of this podcast. But the reason I'm talking about this accessory is because it's another one that I find myself using on a daily basis because it is very much iPad-minded. It's something that was designed from the ground up to solve a problem for the iPad from iPad users. So that's what I like about this. A lot of the gadgets, a lot of the accessories out there aren't made by users. They're made by people that just want to sell something because they want to make money. This is both. They want to make money, but they're iPad users. They know what defects the iPad has, what limitations it has. And one limitation that I've experienced before this was using the iPad in bed. It was a very awkward and sometimes clumsy experience using the iPad in bed. So what Gadget Freeway has done is they have made an iPad pillow. Now what this pillow does is it allows you to use the iPad in a very comfortable way. It's a very soft material that feels good against the skin. It has a place where you put your iPad as a stand, sort of. It makes the pillow into a stand, and the cool thing is you can adjust the stand to any level of viewing that you may require. So it uses bean bags or whatever. I'm not sure the technology behind it, but they use some sort of bean bag technology, and it allows you, because of that, to manipulate the pillow in any way you need to change how high or how low you're going to be viewing your iPad. So in some cases, I will put the beans as high up as possible and use it that way for when I'm reading vertically books. So I like to read books in bed with an iPad, and the pillow has enabled me to do that much better. And having that vertical really helps. But in some situations, I want it more down. I want to have the iPad less of a viewing angle there, and I'll move the beans down. So that is another thing they've done. They've made it really easy to change the viewing angle. It's the best way, I think, to use the iPad in bed. So what they have here is this pillow that has this little thing up front, which is a little plastic bar, I think, or metal bar that gives your iPad a very sturdy place to put it, some place that you're allowed to just keep it there and hold it there without worrying about it falling or anything like that. So it's a very sturdy bar up front, a little crevice for your iPad. You just put your iPad in there. I use it with the Apple case, actually. It works quite well in combination with that, which is very cool because that's something I still use to this day, the Apple case. So you put it in there, and from there, you can have it either vertical or horizontal, either way. And you can even have the iPad Apple case in its stand mode, and it will even enhance the way you can actually view the iPad in bed. So from there, you can actually, they've got this little pocket on the back where, say you're traveling and you want to have your iPad out of the way and conspicuous, you can actually have your iPad in that pocket in the back so no one sees that you have an iPad, and it just can be, you can be sleeping. So one problem, I just thought of this now, is one problem on a plane, if you're sleeping, you don't want to have your iPad just laying in front of you or, just exposed. If your iPad is instead in this back pocket, which it's designed exactly for the height, it fits in with the Apple case. You actually put the Apple case with the iPad in there, and it just fits in that back pocket, and you can be sleeping with this pillow. And I don't know about you, but if someone takes my pillow, I know about it, right? It's on me, right? So it's added security there. And another added benefit is, say you want to go to bed and you have a spouse or whatever, and you want to listen to your own kind of music or whatever when you sleep. You have perhaps Pizziz running or some other sleep-enhancing sound running for you on your iPad. You can just stick it in this pillow, and because it is a pillow, it will be you that hears this more than anyone else. It will be a speaker pillow, basically. So this accessory also takes the iPad and turns it into a much different gadget. It turns it into this speaker pillow. As I've seen before, these other manufacturers have actually developed pillows that have speakers inside of them. But you don't need that anymore. You don't need to buy another accessory because your iPad already has speakers that are plenty loud that with this pillow, you will be the one hearing this. It will be an isolating thing that it'll just be you hearing it through this pillow. And you can actually use the iPad in bed. You can use it as a speaker pillow now. And it's a pretty remarkable little pillow, for the iPad. So this is another accessory for your iPad that has been really from the ground up designed for the iPad by iPad users to meet a need, to meet a demand of, hey, we have these iPads, we're trying to use these in bed, but it's not a good experience. This solves that. This solves this problem of trying to use it in bed with a good experience. So what else? This bag also has some basically loops, so you can actually put on shoulder straps if need be, and all the stuff inside of it is machine washable, so you can actually clean it as needed. So that is the iPad pillow from Gadget Freeway, and that is the third of the iPad minded accessories. With that said, let us round out today with product that has not yet been released, but one I am very excited about being released, and I'm still waiting to hear back from. I heard back from them in the beginning, but let's see. I'm not sure how far along they've come. They still advertise fall 2010 for the clam case. Now, the clam case is something very intriguing to me. What this does is it turns the iPad into the Newton, the eMate, the eMate 300 for the iPad age. So the eMate was Apple's Newton-based Newton-based laptop, basically. It was a personal digital assistant from the 90s that had a keyboard as well as a pen-based touch input. I guess not touch, but pen-based input. And it's a phenomenal little laptop for kids, It's nearly indestructible, and it's a phenomenal little device. Now, the clam case takes that concept of the Apple eMate 300 and turns it into the iPad era. Basically, the iPad gets integrated into this case, and there's a keyboard that's connected through Bluetooth in this case, and it basically turns your iPad into a very durable laptop. So it's a laptop iPad. It's the eMate iPad. It's the whatever you want to call it. It is that. And this caught my eye earlier this year and still has me wanting to try this out. Because what this does is it really turns your iPad into a workhorse as far as productivity with typing and those different things. It could also be folded back to be used as just a regular iPad without the keyboard. That's out of the way. It's thin. It's going to be light. It's going to be just a phenomenal product. So I can't wait for that to come out. And that's another iPad-minded accessory that has caught my eye. So clamcase.com is where that is found at. And I'm just really eager to try that one out because that one looks very compelling. So that will do us for today. If you want to leave feedback, you can send that to 209-542-iPad or iPadpossibilities@gmail.com. So send in your feedback. I'd love to hear, have I missed something? What are your favorite iPad gadgets and accessories that I might have missed? What are your favorite ones that have been really designed for the iPad by iPad users from the ground up? What are they? What are your favorite gadgets out there? I'd love to hear from you. Any other feedback? I'd love to hear from that as well. You can do that once again at 209-542-4723. That's 209-542-iPad or iPadpossibilities@gmail.com. If you would like to support this podcast, please visit my sponsor's website, GadgetFreeway.com. They are the maker of the iPad case bag and the iPad pillow, and many other gadgets and accessories for your iPad, including they've got everything from anti-glare protectors, from Pico projectors, which I actually have one of those, and I'll do a full review on that one later. But basically, it allows your iPad to become a movie theater in your pocket with that Pico projector. So lots of things over GadgetFreeway.com. They've got other cases, other accessories. And just check all of their stuff out at GadgetFreeway.com. There are some great people making some great iPad accessories and gadgets that, as I talk about just two of them today, I'm sure they have more on the way, more specialized gadgets that really enhance your using of the iPad. So go to GadgetFreeway.com to check out all of the gadgets that I've been talking about today from them. And I'd really appreciate you supporting them because that allows them to support me more and more each and every month as I bring you the latest and greatest from the iPad world possibilities. With that, this has been the iPad Possibilities Podcast on tppn.tv. This is Tim, and I'll talk to everyone again for the Sunday night live show later this week.